Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Ayo me fele sama,
Me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tisa me fele sama,
me fele sama,
ay mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
brother me fele sama,
me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama.
mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Ayo me fele sama,
Me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tita me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
me fele sama.
me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama. Ayo.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama,
Ayo me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tita me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tita me fele sama.
me fele sama.
gotkushTV presents Sankofa, The Future of Black History, a unique Black History Month online series exploring all dimensions of time as we chronicle the Black past, command the Black present, and empower the Black future. Workshops include The Future is Black, Why is Black History Under Attack? With Shakara, We Create Value, The Ingenuity of Enslaved Africans, with Robin Walker, Ancestral Calling, Agriculture, and the Opobo Library Initiative with Aya Eneli, Quantum Field Theory as African Heritage with Asar Imhotep. For full information including dates and registration, visit gotkushTV.com. We have made history. We are making history. There is history still to be made. Sankofa, the future of Black history. A Black History Month series not to be missed.
Fire burn them dirty king, blaze up them dirty king, fire burn them king. Send him disastrous, and time he fast with us, ancestors walk with us, fire burn them king.
10-9 Mwali, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai Mudzimu Mokolo. Give praises unto our great ancestors. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. Greetings and welcome, family, to this edition of Zivanai. Yes, a beautiful word spoken in the Shola language, which is mostly spoken in Zimbabwe, and simply means let us get to know. Yeah, we are get to know, and I'm saying we one another and all of these things. Okay, and we are here in the building today, family, as we are every week. On Tuesday or Jimma Day evenings for our open house. And so you can feel free to join us on the panel very shortly. I'm going to now post the link. Yeah. Now you have to watch via gotkushTV, yeah, to be able to join the panel. All right. You have to post via gotkushTV to be able to join the panel. And we're going to have a very interesting conversation today. Interesting conversation I go on today. Yeah. So do stay tuned. Yeah, do stay tuned because we're going to get into some things. But just to remind you of the fact that our event series for Black History Month, Sankofa, the future of Black history, is approaching, and you can register right now at gotkushtv.com. gotkushtv.com. Yeah, gotkushtv.com for all your information. And we've got 4 events in the series. Yeah, 4 events. The first is featuring myself on the subject of the future is Black, why Black history is under attack. And we have our good brother, Robin Walker, on the following Wednesday. So all of the events are Wednesday evenings at UK, 7 p.m. UK time. And we have our good brother, Robin Walker, on the 11th, dealing with the subject of we create value, the ingenuity of enslaved Africans. Yeah. Then after that, we have our sister Aya Eneli dealing with the ancestral calling, agriculture, and the Opobo Library Initiative. Very, very serious topic right there. So, and finally, we have our good brother Asar Imhotep, who is featuring, speaking on the subject of quantum field theory as African heritage. Yeah, so all of our events throughout the series are designed not specifically to relay historical information, but to make said historical information relevant to our present and future development and empowerment as African people. And so I hope ones and ones can see that and understand that. And if you don't, then feel free to go to the website and come to the event, yeah, to find out more. It's going to be a beautiful, powerful series of events. And you can also get all of the full series at a discount price. So each session is £10 for each session, but if you want to get the full series, it's 30. Yeah, so all 4 for the price of 3. All right, so do come through, and we look forward to seeing you there. One of our sponsors, as you saw, earlier is Black History Walks. And so I'm going to let you know about a Black History Walk event that is coming up in a few days time, kings and queens. Yes indeed, yes indeed. I'm going to share my screen right about now, and we're going to be getting into some things as far as what Black History Walks has going on at the moment, and that is The Little Mermaid's Real Black History and the Books to Prove. Detailed facts and figures about mermaid history, Black films, and African spirituality. Legends showcased in major Hollywood franchise. Okay, and so we're going to be delving into on this day the Black history behind The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid's first iteration in 1989 as a white woman stole concepts from ancient African history. The new version of her as a Black woman was condemned and trolled in certain quarters and affected its box office performance. Hollywood has a long history of strip mining, Black history and representing it as generic with no reference to its source material. In this interactive double presentation, Dr. Michelle Asantewa, course leader on African women resistance leaders, political and spiritual, and Tony Warner of Black History Walks Volume 1 will illustrate racism in the film production distribution, white versions of African history, and legends that make big money for Hollywood. African civilizations, pre-European invasions, Brazil, Cuba, Nigeria, Panama, and Streatham. Why we don't want a Black mermaid and who is we. Black rip-off historians and sellouts, Black goddesses and white patriarchy, can they coexist? Black women in publishing, successes and inspiration. As said, your speakers are Michelle Asantewa and Tony Warner. And the event takes place on Thursday, the 21st of September. Thursday, the 21st of September. Yes, do come true. And you can get your tickets by going to blackhistorywalks.co.uk or simply searching Eventbrite. Simply search Eventbrite, Black History Walks, and a list of all of their events will be available to you. All right, kings and queens. So we look forward to seeing you down there on the 21st of September. The Little Mermaid, The Little Mermaid's real Black history and the books to prove it. Yes, indeed, kings and queens. Oh, I should also explain this little detail over here, sir. The entry is absolutely free. So do come true and get your tickets now and move quickly, because you don't know, say, when it comes to Black History Walks, the event them sell out very, very quickly. All right. Okay. So let us see. We're gonna stop show the screen there right here now and get in at the conversation. Set him what me see you, and we're gonna come to you shortly. Okay. Right, family, as you come through, please like the video, like up the video, and share the link far and wide. We encourage you to share the link for this stream far and wide. Yeah. So there's two things I'm going to talk about. One I'm going to talk about rather briefly, and the second I'm going to talk about a little bit more extensively. Yeah. And the first is that I had the pleasure of viewing a debate, hosted by Sarnetta, and it was between brother Sekou Kelly and brother Bobby Banger. And the subject of the debate was spirituality versus science, which is more important for the betterment of Black people worldwide. Yeah, and I might be paraphrasing the subtitle. Yeah, I might paraphrasing the subtitle there. So sorry, family. Give me 2 seconds. Me have a quick situation for deal with. All on there, yeah. May I come back very shortly. I'm gonna give a quick review of this debate, and then I'm gonna go into my next subject, which is a little bit more relating to some issues that are happening in the UK at the moment. Give me 2 seconds.
GKTV presents Sankofa, The Future of Black History, a unique Black History Month online series exploring all dimensions of time as we chronicle the Black past, command the Black present, and empower the Black future. Workshops include The Future is Black. Why is Black history under attack? With Shakara. We Create Value, the ingenuity of enslaved Africans, with Robin Walker. Ancestral Calling, Agriculture, and the Apobo Library Initiative, with Aya Eneli. Quantum Field Theory as African Heritage, with Asar Imhotep. For full information including dates and registration, visit gotkushTV.com. We have made history. We are making history. There is history still to be made. Sankofa, The Future of Black History, a Black History Month series not to be missed.
Okay, family, apologies for that. We're back. All right. So yeah, I was saying that I was able to view live this debate and take part in a piece of the after show as well. Yeah. And it was a very interesting debate, both our brothers had their point. I think that it was overwhelmingly decided by the viewing audience that Sekou in fact won the debate. And I can see why. I think that he had a more cogent argument that took into consideration more dimensions of the subject matter at hand. And I think because of that, he was declared the winner. And I think that there's also a bit of inevitability about that, because within the conscious community, many people are very, very spiritually inclined, and so are more given towards the arguments that Brother Sekou gave, which also, it can be said, his presentation, in spite of that, was excellent in terms of the breadth and the depth that he explored. Brother Sekou, that is. And the major problem with the debate, as far as I see it, is that whilst it was being said, so Brother Bobby said a number of times, I'm sorry, let me just get the specific title correct. The title is Spirituality versus Science, which is better for the Black communities of the world. Which is better for the Black communities of the world. All right. And I saw the development of this debate before it actually took place, before it was announced, before it was, really going to go on. And I saw how the conversation was developing around Sekou. All right. And the conversation, the debate really got started, as far as I saw it, because in promoting African development, Brother Sekou and others began and continue to advocate for the restoration of dignity, respect, and functionality to African spiritual systems. And they are being challenged by a group within the online conscious community who seem to have an issue with this and advocated for science in the place of spirituality, and therefore began to create a false dichotomy between the two, science and spirituality. But then also in the debate, numerous times it was said the argument was not being made that one cannot be spiritual and be scientific, but that you can't mix them, you have to separate them. Well, if that's the case, then one would not need in conversation to challenge somebody who's advocating on behalf of spirituality by bringing science and trying to replace it. I wonder if anybody's understanding what I'm saying. Let me say that. Let me say it another way. If me or Ayasa promoting African spirituality, yes, okay, and nothing that I'm saying is challenging the need for us to be scientifically literate and astute. Nothing that I'm saying is challenging the viability of scientific literacy, and nothing that I am saying is negating the fact that in order to empower ourselves as African people, especially in this dispensation of time, we need to be scientifically literate, then there is no need for anybody to come and say we need to be scientifically literate, if that makes sense, right? As though it is challenging the premise of my argument. And that's what I saw being done. Yet at the same time, people said them never did a go on with them the argument there. Okay, this despite the fact that Sekou has been consistently saying and advocating on the fact that we need to be scientifically literate. Sekou actively advocates for scientific literacy. Okay, so this forced dichotomy was created, yeah, between science on the one hand and spirituality on the other, and imposed on the debate. And I think that Brother Sekou did a very good job of trying to show the complementarity and demonstrate the complementarity between those two things. I'm not going to go into an extensive review today, but I want to say one or two things. The first thing that I want to say is one of the things that was very evident to me in the debate is the extent to which Eurocentricity has conceptually incarcerated African people in general, and even Africans in the conscious community. Because a number of statements that were made during this debate and its after show in relation to what African spirituality is, that demonstrate, one, a lack of understanding of African spirituality, and two, a lack of a capacity to think, conceptualize, and reason within and upon African-centered terms when analyzing African reality. Yeah, and I'll give one example of this. Yeah, one example of this. Within the development of European society and the discipline of science within European nation states and culture, the dominant narrative is that science is an outgrowth of natural philosophy. Okay? Science is an outgrowth of natural philosophy. Natural philosophy being defined from its Greco-Roman origin. Yes? And once we had the tools to be able to observe and measure and see what was going on in the universe more, natural philosophy became replaced by science. And so the statement, therefore, is made that philosophy and spirituality are two separate and distinct things. Whereas philosophy might have some value because European science is developed from natural philosophy, spirituality, in particular, African spirituality, has no particular value in this regard. All right. But then when you look at African spiritual systems, one of the things that becomes clear is that our natural philosophy is encoded in and expressed through our spiritual systems. That how our ancestors contemplated nature, conceptualized nature, and develop ways in which to relate to nature is enshrined in the spiritual system. So can you separate natural philosophy from African spirituality when you are reasoning from an African-centered orientation? It's a very basic example that should be obvious to anybody who is a significant voice in the Black conscious community. Yet it seems that what should be obvious was not as obvious, yeah, to not just Bobby Banger, but many of the brothers and sisters who were listening. Yeah. And so my final point on this particular subject is the fact that political education is just as important as scientific literacy. And there is no political education without a cultural orientation. And what seems to be taking place, not just in the conscious community, because what's happening in the conscious community is actually mirroring and aping and mimicking some dynamics that are going on in broader society. And because what's happening in broader society is being adopted without critical examination, we are not only adopting arguments that are being put forward by certain kinds of particular scientists in the Western world, but we are also wittingly or unwittingly adopting their political orientation. Science doesn't take place outside of a geopolitical and economic reality. And unless we understand that, unless we appreciate that, unless we are able to educate our children in that regard, we will not fully appreciate science, not just as a discipline of learning, but as an area of people activity as it relates to power dynamics in the world. Yeah, and I'm going to leave that there for the sake of time. There's more that can be said, but I'm sure if brothers and sisters want to bring me back to that subject, feel free to do so in the open discussion when I open up the lines. Yeah, because I know enough I only did I watch the one day, and so that might be the case. All right, big up to everybody in the chat right about now. Before I go into the next subject, shouting out to Seth Imhotep, Anthony, I don't know, McFahale, I don't know how you pronounce that. That's something there. Big up to Tamika One. Oh, Tamika One, I regularly see that name in the Sonetaverse. And Coffee Campbell, big up. And anybody else, all the silent listeners and viewers who are listening and are watching, big up yourself too. Now, at the moment, yeah, I'm a bit handicapped with my second subject because there was a video that I was gonna play, but the brethren when did post the video looked like him take down the video. Yeah, it was a 2-part video, and I can't find the 2-part them on theme page right here now. Now maybe I'm missing something, but I do know that it was posted on another sister's video. But she only posted the second part of the video, unfortunately. All right, so I'm gonna go to our FIR page on Instagram, and hopefully it's still there. All right, it is. Okay, so I'm going to play from FIR page. Now, unfortunately, I won't be able to play you the both parts because I think it's important to play the both parts to get the full context of what the regime was saying. All right, but I want to engage in some quick analysis of this argument. Now, for those who are not aware, recently in London, South London in particular, an incident took place whereby a sister went into a Asian hair shop. Yeah, I say an Asian hair shop. A shop owned by Indians that is selling predominantly products that are used by the African community, all right, in the UK. And if you know anything about the UK, you know that dynamic is not unusual. Yeah, 99.9% of the products that we use, yes, for our own head is sold to us by people that are not in our community, mostly the Asian community. Okay, and so she was seeking a refund for some products that she had bought, and the shop owners refused to give her a refund. Cut a long story short, she went to go and they have a no refund policy. Yeah, so she went to go and replace the products. In between, and the details of what happened next is being investigated at the moment, but the incident escalated to the point whereby one of the shop owners was roughing up the sister and ended up wrapping his hands around her neck, yeah, and manhandling her to a significant degree in this shop. The video of this incident was videoed, and the video of this incident went viral. And some of you may have seen it. If you're not living in the UK, you may have seen this video. And as a result, the day after the video went viral, many members, hundreds of people in the African community went down outside of the shop and protest the thing. And so there's been a lot of conversation around these dynamics, yeah, over Yasso. Now there's a brother by the name of Mini, yeah, who's on Insta. His tag is My Nature Music, and he had a very interesting thing to say, yes, about people's reaction to this incident. And I would like to play his video and share my thoughts, yeah, on where Mafise. Like I said before, kings and queens, unfortunately I cannot find the original 2-part that he posted on his own page, so I'm paying this from the page of a sister called Afua Rose. Many of you may know the sister, but we're going to get the basic argument that he's making, and I want to challenge, yes, some of the things that he is saying in this particular post. All right, so make sure the everything I share good. And you know, the problem with this now is that when I'm playing it from this, I can't actually
say uplifting and positive stuff, and it's verbal.
I can't actually wind it, so I'm gonna refresh the page hopefully and come back to the thing. Yeah, so give me a sec, family. All right. By the way, family, if you want your comment to be read out, yeah, you have to tag at gotkushTV.
That to Bobby Kasanga. Bobby Kasanga said, "Let's call a spade a spade." He's talking about respect. These guys that think that you're community leaders, that's from the road. The man them ones. I'm talking about.
All right, hold on there.
Yeah, what's going on, man? My battery died, so I've not been seeing what's going on social media. Shouts out to Bobby Kasanga. Bobby Kasanga.
Let me know if you can hear, family.
Spade, he's talking about respect. Let's have it right. I'm not talking about respect. I'm talking about all of you guys that think that you're community leaders. That's from the road. The man them ones. I'm talking about every one of you. My whole purpose of that video, what I'm saying to you guys is, you lot can only enforce being a mentor. You can do great mentors. You can only say uplifting and positive stuff, and it's verbal. But as for enforcing justice, yeah, you can only enforce justice on something outside your own community. You can't enforce justice on the man them. I gave you the example already. If Tommy Robinson was in Brixton, shooting at the place in Brixton, and he accidentally shot a black woman, yeah, a black woman, yeah, we would all have a picture of Tommy Robinson on our pages. Every one of you leaders would all be bunning the system, trying to get justice for the family for the shit that Tommy Robinson did. Yeah, right? We agree, right? But now, if we're in Brixton, and one of the bad man, one of the man them, the steppers did the exact same crime and licked down the exact same woman, I'm telling you guys, you including Bobby. I love you, Bobby, but I'm including you too, including you. Yeah, so don't make it about rest. It's not about rest. It's about everyone. You could not put a picture of the stepper on your page the same way you put a picture of Tommy Robinson if he did the exact same crime. The reason why you can't do that, because you don't want to be a snitch. You don't want to be a snitch. And I'm telling you, even you, Bob, I love you, but you know all the steppers, you know all the man them, you know what's going on, you know all the gossip, but you're not willing to do anything about it because you can't do anything about it, because even though you're not a part of it, you are still 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Then your friends are out there, and you're not willing to sell out your friends, because if you was willing to sell out your friends for the right cause, you'll be Charleston White, and you are not planning to be a Charleston White, because Charleston White is a snitch. I told you already, I'm not about that community life leader business, because I know where my roots come from, the road. I'm a road nigga. All my niggas are from the road. So for me to be able to enforce justice fully for the black women that are losing their sons, for me to enforce justice fully, I will have to serve justice the same way I serve justice against the white people in the community. The same way that I enforce it against the Asian fella, get his business closed down, get the white people, get them all arrested. The white feds that shot Chris Cabba, we want them arrested. We want justice served against them, man, for the family of Chris Cabba. Yeah, but I know for 100%, none of you lot can enforce that same justice on the man then. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you cannot. Because if you enforce that same justice, if you chase the man them in that same way and try to enforce justice, legal justice, the same way you enforcing legal justice on this Asian fella in that shop, The same way you're enforcing legal justice on the people them in Ashford. If you enforce that legal justice on the man them, you are officially a snitch. And you don't want to be a snitch. It's against your mechanism. Shouts out to Ras. I never mentioned Ras in not one of my videos. You did. So let's call a spade a spade. If I wanted to mention Ras in my video, I would mention in my video. I ain't got to go around thing. I'm talking about everyone. Every one of you roadman, Ross Clark, community leaders, I'm telling you, if a stepper was to shoot and lick down someone and miss and accidentally hit a woman, there's nothing you lot are going to do other than talk verbal. You're not going to enforce no justice, no peace. Justice, no peace. You're not going to enforce that. That's only for white people when they do something. That's only for the feds. That's only for the shopkeepers. That's only for waste man, black man. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. But as for the steppers, none of that ain't for none of us. I was talking to a man earlier on today and I said, bro, stop acting like you're trying to enforce. Stop acting like you can enforce any justice on us niggas out in the street. You can't enforce no justice on the steppers. What the fuck? If I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, hey Bobby, I love you, and you're a fucking leader right here. You're putting in a whole load of work. Tell me one time, you know any of these men that are community leaders that are enforcing justice? They're getting justice for the black lady that got strangled, and they're getting justice, right? And then the lady in Ashford, the little sister in Ashford, they got justice for her. People lost their jobs and stuff. They got that justice. Tell me one time when you can actually tell me and show me proof of these people getting justice justice for a black woman who has lost their son due to gangs and it's black on black crime. Justice against the man. Give me one example. You cannot show me one example, because if there's an example of respect doing justice against one of the man them and it's a murder case, that means them man are willing to take the stand and be snitches. And I know that Respect is not a snitch, because I see how Respect was when Bouncer came out, and Bouncer he admitted to snitching when he was 15. Respect didn't like that. I know that. Respect didn't like the fact that my man was admitting to be a snitch when he was 15. So how can you be talking about justice in gun crime and black gun crime, but you don't want to snitch? It don't make no sense. It's counterproductive, and they go against each other. You can only have that energy for someone outside the thing. And then when it comes to our people, you're in a half-stepping thing. You can only be on a half-stepping thing, because if you step over that boundary, you're going to have the local steppers calling your name, wondering what the fuck you're doing. You're trying to get my net. Are you mad? Are you mad? Are you mad? Like, if one of the local steppers in Brixton stepped on something and accidentally got someone, you're not going to put his picture. Because the minute you put his picture up on your page talking about, yeah, we need justice, this guy here, justice needs to be served again, this guy's a wrong one. Bro, the minute you start fucking around like that with real niggas, for me.
All right. So we heard that, yeah. Now, there's a number of problems that I have with what the brother said. All right. Now I don't know many personal. All right. Just for some context though, two of the other brothers that whose names he was calling in this particular message, Respect, yeah, who is part of Forever Family, and they do a lot of community work in terms of trying to resolve violence, yeah, in the community. Okay, in our community. All right. And it's interesting, and he brought up that name because of another brother by the name of Bobby Kasanga, who is another brother who has a road history, so to speak, who was in jail for a number of years, came out and started a community football team to bring youth into the football team and avoid them hitting the road, yeah, and becoming a part of, you know, the cycle of violence in the community. Yeah, and so basically what's happened is this brother Minnie has said these things, and the brother Bobby has challenged him and suggested that he's throwing wood after man like Respect Fire Bingi. And whilst he's saying he's not throwing wood after Respect Fire Bingi, that would seem to have been contradicted later on in the video. Now, I should just say Respect Rebellion, because I'm not even sure Respect go by Fire Bingi again. So I'm gonna say Respect, yeah. I correct myself. All right. So there's a few problems that I have with this video, and yeah, and part of the problem is that there's a lack of context in the way the brethren is framing this argument. First and foremost, African people, black people, are a minority in this country, quote unquote, all right, who are overrepresented in prison statistics. Yes, we are in the prisons far above, and I can't remember the latest statistics. I'm not even going to bother to quote them. Yeah, but far above our numbers, our percentage of the population, which is around 2%. Okay, we are 2% of the British population, and our prison representation is somewhere in the teens. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, stick that point there. Just hold it for a second, and we're gonna come back to it. This idea of serving justice. Yeah, the brother kept using this terminology, serving justice. And I think we need to have a proper understanding of what serving justice is. Serving a protest, which is what happened. The brethren and sisters came outside the shop and protested, yes, what was done to the sister in the shop. A protest is not serving justice. Yeah. Generally speaking, people who have institutional power do not engage in protest. They simply use their institutional power to enact justice. Okay? A protest is an act of people who do not have the leverage or the wills of institutional power trying to influence that institutional power. So there is no circumstance, generally speaking, in which a protest is serving justice. The brothers and sisters running outside of the Asian man's shop was not an act of serving justice. When Chris Kaba, Chris Kaba is a brother who was killed in police custody or by the police last year, for those who are not aware. And African people, black people in this country have been protesting and demonstrating and demanding justice for his death. Yeah. The protests and the demonstrations are not serving justice. Okay? So this is a mischaracterization. I want that to be clear. This idea that we serve justice on people who are outside of our community whilst not serving justice on those who are in our community is fallacious. If we understand what it means to serve justice. All right? That's point number one. Point number two is, when you look at what we are protesting, African people, black people in the UK have a history of experiencing racial violence against our community from other people and from other communities, I should say, and also from Dirty Babylon police. All right, tell them, my princess, how you doing? So we got visitors in on the home front. So I'm just greeting the princess. Oh, that's very nice, lovely. All right. For said acts of violence, which often result in murder, the British state has a very poor record of bringing the perpetrators of these crimes to justice. However, a part of the reason why black people in this country are overrepresented in the prisons is because when we are on the wrong side of the law, so to speak, generally speaking, the law knows how to serve justice. There is not an issue in this country of black youth not going to prison when they are engaged in violence against other black youth. This is not a significant dynamic. But now I say, that there's not some unsolved cases out there that a man never got licked down and never suffered no consequences, that there are not some unresolved murder cases that involve black on black crime, so to speak. What I am saying is, generally speaking, man them go to jail. Yeah? Man them go to jail. The system doesn't have a massive track record of just letting off the man them when the man them murk other man them. Yeah? So you have to factor that into the situation. Yeah? This is without even going into how we get into no snitching in our community in the first place. Generally speaking, no snitching comes in for two reasons. One is because oftentimes over policing in our community was designed to squash community organizing. Two, over policing in our community was designed for the criminalization of the community because the police are heavily implicated. If you understand the history of road in the UK and anywhere for that matter, there is no road culture, gang culture, black on black violence that doesn't involve orchestration from the powers that be, forces that be, including the police. Yes, the drugs reached into our community through the police. The guns reach into our community through the police. Bear those things in mind. And three, oftentimes when it comes to serving justice, what is taking place on the road? Yeah. Not always, but often. People serve their own justice. Yeah, when you see a man get killed, enough of the time it's because the next man got killed on Thiem side. Yeah. Okay. So the idea, again, that we're not serving justice needs to be looked at. But then this brother has gone after what he's referred to as community leaders, and particularly those community leaders that were on road, that were man them who were involved in, not like myself, yeah, me never involved in a road thing like that. I was always road adjacent, yeah. Man them that I went to school with and was brethren with, and you know, used to visit their family home, or they used to visit my family home, was on road, right? Yeah, me never did in the road thing. Yeah, Pan-African warrior from birth. But for those of us who are in the community, who have that experience and have so-called reformed ourselves and are now trying to do the work within the community to prevent other young men and women from going down that same path. These are the kinds of brothers and sisters that Minnie is calling out in this video. And I think it would have been far more constructive to promote their work. Because what happens is, how we try to address those issues within our community is via prevention. Yes? We don't have to encourage the police to arrest the man them and lock up the man them. The police don't need no encouragement where that is concerned. Yeah? The criminal justice system don't need no encouragement where that is concerned. What we do need to do is educate the youngers them about the dangers of this thing and how it is destroying the community. What we do need to do is provide them opportunities that make it less likely to go down certain road. What we do need to do is provide older generational examples that the youth them can see and follow. And so a lot of the brothers that Minnie is going after and criticizing in this video are doing that work. This is the irony of the situation. They must do the work in terms of prevention. And I'm not even going to go into the extent to which it's impossible for a criminal justice system that is based upon criminality to truly be a system of justice. That's a whole next conversation. Yeah. But why are we discarding the work that the man them are doing because them now protest outside of some roadman yard and demand that police come lock them up? That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. Yeah. Now, I'm not one with road experience like that. I'm not coming from road like that. However, I have done work in the field of guy intervention, yeah, what they call youth mentoring, working with disaffected young people, etc., etc., etc. And I've worked with brothers and sisters who have that role experience and then them kind of things there. When it comes to mothers, the idea that man them don't support the mothers is wrong. I've seen man them support the mothers who have suffered, whose sons have died at the hands of these things. I've seen groups of mothers come together and support each other. I've seen man them who were on road, yes, come to the aid of mothers in various different ways. I've seen man them who were on road get other youths off of road. I've seen man them put their own life in danger to have some impact on lessening the violence in our community. That is the way that we deal with those things within the community. And it seems as though our brother, Minnie, totally ignored that reality and criticized the man them for not bringing the criminal justice system into the equation enough, which is weird to me. Entirely weird. Yeah. And there's more to be said on this, but I'm going to leave it there because for the sake of time and invite brothers and sisters on if they want to speak. Yeah. So the link is in the chat, family. The link is in the chat. You have to watch via gotkushTV to come through. So if you're watching via gotkushTV, you will see the link pinned to the top of the chat. You can click that link right about now. Yeah. Click the link right about now. You can come through. You can either raise your own point. You can speak to the 2 points that I've raised. The first, which was the debate that I saw between Sekou and Bobby, and the latter, which is the issue that I just raised in terms of what it means to serve justice, and so on and so forth. Yeah. The other side to this is that when we talk about police are people who have a certain level of authority within the land. People tend to, as I said, protest and demonstrate against those who are supposed to have authority, yes, within their social geopolitical environment. The man them don't have authority. Yeah. Having said that, one of the brothers who was mentioned in the video, Respect, has in fact led marches all over London of people demonstrating against violence in the community. That is a fact. I know because I have been on those demonstrations and marches. And in those instances, we're appealing to brothers and sisters. I've been on those marches where family members of those who have been slain have been there and have spoken publicly to the assemblies of hundreds of people in the middle of the street, appealing to communities and people within those communities to end the violence. And the interesting thing about these things here, when it happens, these people that come up and talk, well, yeah, we need to do it. Why them now do this? And why? It never seems to translate into what this is what I am contributing to the thing. The people that do these videos never seem to be able to direct people to some work what them I do, or that others are doing. Suggest some what the other people are doing in this field. They seem very detached from the work where I go on. Yet them have so much to say. Because if you knew anything about Raspek, you will know that in Forever Family and in a previous organization that he was involved in called Gang, Guiding a New Generation, that work was going on all over the city. And I think probably even the country. I've been places with Raspek, even before Gang. Yeah? I know, man, that daily are trying to create truces between warring estates all over the city. They do that work daily. I know these, man. What is the value that you put on that work versus snitching on a man and telling police where him live and all them things there? What value do you put on that work? And if you do put value on that work, then why was that work not mentioned? Or is it that you don't know about that work? And if you don't know about that work, then why have you spoken before you have properly educated yourself? That me want to know. 1 second, let me just say good night to myself. Good night. Good night. Yeah? That me want to know. That me want to know. All right, family. You can also leave a comment in the chat if you're not atting gotkushTV. I won't be reading it. Okay, that's so I can just differentiate between those that are specifically for the conversation and those that are just talking and sometimes talking amongst yourselves and each other. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sharing the link again. So feel free to come through, kings and queens. You can come through, join the conversation. Like I said, I've been talking about a debate that took place over the weekend between Bobby Banger and Sekou on Sarnetta. And the debate was around spirituality versus science, which I think is a ridiculous forced dichotomy in the first place. And so I did a brief feedback. It wasn't really an extensive review. Did a brief feedback on that debate. And shouted at brother Sekou for winning and for the breadth and the depth of his argument. He had some beautiful slides, and one of the reasons why he won, I think, is because even his analysis and breakdown of science took into consideration more than what Bobby's did. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Kushti's in the building. By the way, Kushti, I'm gonna send you a text soon. I can't. Me I got invited on for something. Kushti says, "You're talking a lot of truths, bro. Got gotkushTV. I am in two minds, though. Feel free to come through, sis. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You know, we're not fireball nobody. We're just open up the conversation. The brethren said a lot, and I felt like it triggered some thoughts in my mind. And yeah. That was the vibration. I should also say this. I was reasoning with my Empress Wadia on a subject totally unrelated to this specific subject, right? But we had a conversation about community accountability, and she said she relayed this conversation to me that she had with her sister-in. And without going into the details of what the conversation was about, she said, I'm gonna finish this point and I'm gonna bring through Empress Kush. She said, things happen, and then people ask the question, how are we gonna hold so and so accountable? And she said, but before the event took place, the event, whatever it is, could be anything. What was you involved in? What community circle, sister circle, brother circle community organization, institution was you involved in to help develop systems of accountability? We can all call for accountability when things does go on, but that's not how things run. Accountability is enforced from the position of pre-existing institutions and social order, not things where you want because no, you get licked with whatever it is that is harmful, detrimental, offensive, abusive, or whatever. Yeah. So we can't only want accountability when we are personally affected by things and we want them to get dealt with. It only is effective if we are involved in. Developing community prior to things taking place. If there is not a functional community, the community is not going to function when things go wrong, just because we want them to. Yeah? And these are difficult conversations to have, because so many of us are talking about what we should be doing, and too few of us are actually involved in the doing of it, of the things that we need to do. Yeah? If we want to hold each other accountable, ourselves, what institutions are we developing and what is our contribution to the development of those institutions? Will we submit to the authority of said community institutions in the same way and even more than we do the authority of the institutions of the state of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, which we know is a criminal enterprise? When I ask them questions, anyway, let me stop. Sure. Kushti.
Nah, brother, don't stop, boy. He was on the roll.
Go on, Kushti. Good to hear your voice, sis.
Yeah, bless up to you, bro. So excuse my manners. Bless up to you, the family, and
Love.
family in the chat as well. Boy, I wanted to come on. I've only came on literally about when you was 45 minutes in, so perhaps when you're just talking about this subject now. And I was listening to you in regards to, I think the is it Mims?
Minnie, I think his name is.
Okay, yeah. And I was listening because I saw that as well. So I was coming in on that. But you know, when you click the link, you have a block of silence. And when I come in, you're spitting a fire. And I think I kind of understand now a bit more of where you're coming from. And I think I've got 2 points on there, because I think, like you said, you're talking some really serious things now. And I think these are the kind of real conversations that we need to have. And I think starting off with what you just said there, I think you're talking to everyone having a collective responsibility within the community. You can't start claiming that you want this, that, and the other, but then you're not doing anything towards or support that community. And I think that that's the kind of conversation. I think there's like a surface level conversation, and you're bringing it down to the roots. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that in order for the conversation about, accountability and things like that, the conversation I just came in and you saying needs to be addressed, because, and I'll talk about the other point that I said that I perhaps maybe disagree with you on, but I understand your reasoning, because at the end of the day, right, these are some people who criticize are the same people who pick and choose when they're a part of the said Black community and when they're not. So I don't understand how you can start talking about a community. There's no other race that can opt in and out but still expect to be a part of the community that they created, right? But we have this thing, and I think when the going gets good, whatever good it is for said individuals or different individuals, this is not to the Mims guy, because I don't know him. I only really saw him through this viral video. I'm just saying about certain mentalities, right? So when the going's good, you're an individual, you're a humanitist, everything's evil level. If you try your hardest, everything's succeed. The world sees no color. We've all moved on. And then as soon as something blatant happens, you remember who you are. And then it's the onus on black community and what's going on. And I think that conversation needs to happen in regards to, if you like what you're saying, if you do want to see these institutions and you really do want to see better when these things happen and it does irritate you, what are you doing towards that? But it's also reiterating that that doesn't have to be something that you spend your whole profession doing. That doesn't have to now be your life job. That could be supporting something, that could be financially supporting it, that could be going out and registering to be a part of a membership or a group, and when they need to turn out, you turn out. There's so many little things that you could be doing that even when you dip your toe into it, you'll end up dipping your whole foot in anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because it'll feel so good. So I think that kind of conversation needs to happen, and it needs to be raw like that, how you said it. Like when I said don't stop, I meant it, because we need to have that real talk. Like if we want this, and we clearly do want this, even the people that don't know that they want it, it shows when things like this happens that they want it. What are we really doing? It's not an option in and option out thing. So what are we doing collectively? So I 100% agree with you on that. But do you want me to leave? Do you want to come back on that, or should I just go to?
No, go ahead.
So,
Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I started to listen at first, the thing about, and again, I don't want this to be on personal individuals, right? And I hear what you're saying in regards to his video. Now, I don't know if he did a couple of videos. The videos that I did is when he did a response, and he wanted to clarify things because another person in the community thought it was a shot at Ras, right? So he had to do a clarification.
Yeah, that was Bobby Kasanga. Yeah. So the video that I played was him responding to Bobby Kasanga. Right. Yeah, but he did a 2-part video, and I've only got, because I think he seems to have removed the videos. So I've only got the second one that was posted on somebody else's page, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I watched it this morning, I found it, but I couldn't find it for the show this evening. So yeah, but there, go on.
So, and I think, because at first I was like, okay, do you really have to, if you are a part of a black community, do you have to have some sort of credentials in order to speak on it? Was my kind of thing when I first come in. So I do think that as a community should be free to express their frustrations within their communities. So I do think that is a fair thing to do. But again, it goes back to my point of, if you really believe it, right? And my first point in regards to what you're doing, and are you really feeling that you're part of that community 24/7? And also, you know, and this is not to Ras at all, because I've heard Ras say several times that if he was ever around a man that disrespected a woman, bash on a woman, you know, he's talked about his daughters. That is something that you'll hear Ras saying that, right? But what I'm saying is that we have seen areas, like even in America, right, with this guy, right, we've seen cases where, you know, or cases where what he was talking about was in road things, yeah, because they were all on road, right? So what I was getting from it is that if you knew someone, right, or any of these leaders, yeah, I'm not going to name any names, right? Yeah, because I didn't even know the Bobby guy, so I don't even know who he's talking to. But if any of these leaders, because they're from road, right, knew someone very close who did something, and then there was a daughter, and then now there's a mother crying, a black mother crying, and the black daughter passed away. He's saying what the frustration is that this is what I was getting, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, but the frustration is that you'd see more vim if it was police than you would do from that person, because of the affiliation, because of the underlying code and all of that. And so what I'm saying is, if that is an area of if that is an area that is of frustration for people, I think that that's the kind of route he was going through. That's why I said I didn't hear all of the videos. I don't think he was going through the route of, you know, we should be going to the police and, you know, doing all of this on the police side. It was just kind of you know, we need to clean in-house. And I think that kind of in-house kind of feeling, even if this is not related to that, but because of what's happened in America, because we've had so many other stuff, like I won't name names, we had someone who was like promoting Garvia and stuff like that, and then we saw him with a white woman disrespecting black women. Like there's been a lot of contradictions on people who put on a label and don't put on a label. Now I understand the frustration for the people who are really doing it, like yourself, Shakara, right? I get that, but as someone from the outside, like you said, this person clearly not in the field or foot on ground, right? So he's not going to know the real ones that you're going to see consistently. But if that viewing that side, just that, and a lot of people like quote unquote unsynchronized, right? So not everybody, we haven't got enough people who are moving the right way. We've not got enough people who are doing their spiritual healing. We've not got a lot of people who even recognize that they want to call themselves black or African, you know, all of that, bro. So I kind of feel like if the majority of us are outside of the fold, and this is the consistency that they're seeing with people who have leaders associated with it, I think it's under that kind of guidance of this frustration of clean in-house first. What are we doing about in-house? There's been a lot, and I understand that this is definitely, like I've said to you before, I believe that this is a disguise and a distraction for something else, but this is our problem nevertheless, kind of thing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, yes. And the fact of the matter is, when it comes to the principle of cleaning in-house and so on, that no sane individual is going to question that fact. No community can develop and empower itself when there are significant levels of violence existing within it, right? So it's an impediment, it's a hindrance, and we need to work it out. The issue is that he directed his statement specifically at what he would define as community leaders in general, and then more specifically roadman community leaders. So these are man them who have a history of being involved in certain things and are now trying to, steer other youths off of that kind of path. And the irony is that is an example of some form of cleaning house, right? That's in-house work. That's not protesting, it's not demonstrating, it's not appealing to the system, right? This is man them who are coming back to their community and trying to say, listen, youngers, like let's not do this, innit, right? And you know what I'm saying, and whatever. Okay. The brother has not declared himself a part of that work in any way, shape, or form. But he's criticizing others who are, and he did actually make mention of the fact that, but when it comes to if Tommy Robinson did thus and so forth, and I don't know if you heard the example and shot, then all of you lot would have this on your thing. But if it wasn't the man then from around the way, then you wouldn't, because you can't serve justice. And then so I began by saying a protest is not serving justice. That's not what serving justice is. It's an appeal to some kind of constitutional authority or state authority in order for them to enact justice, usually based upon the perception that they tend not to do so. In certain circumstances. When it comes to us killing ourselves and each other, this is not an issue that we have with the system. The system doesn't, they tend to lock up man for these things. Right? You see what I'm saying? So we don't have, like, appealing to the system to lock up the man them would be counterintuitive because the system locks up the man them.
So you're saying that in regards to him saying that that's what they should be doing, working with the police, is like, because that's what I'm not even sure if he was saying that they should be doing that, although I would appreciate if somebody got that impression. It does sound like that's what he was saying. I'm not going to put it on him 100% because he may not have said that in so many words, but the logical conclusion of his argument would seem to suggest that these men who are protesting outside of the Asian man's shop, they should, if they're rude to the thing, then they should also point out the man them in the ends, when wherever to the police, right? Okay. I would understand. Okay. Now, listen. Now. Thanks for the clarification, because and that's the thing when you see it chop up, and this is the problem, and this is why it's good for you to have these kind of community conversations, right? Because I didn't know it stemmed from him trying to disrespect the thing that people went out and protest, and then use that, and then so I get it. So I understand that.
Right. So and that's the problem. It's not even like this. Sorry, it's not to cut you this. It's not even as though, look, Pete, there are many members of the community who do engage with police in investigations and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
That's the reality. Okay. There's also the side of the things whereby people in a lot of the times, we as a community do not relate well to police because of our history with
Yeah.
police, right? This what I'm saying, yeah. So that has to also be taken into consideration, right?
Yeah.
And then the other side to it is that if we're talking about serving justice, especially as we live in like the ultimate thing for me is we want to be in a place where we don't even have to go to police.
Exactly.
More
Yeah.
than so. Right, just what I'm saying. That's not to say that, and I don't. When it comes to situations like murder and rape and them kind of things, there we do not have the level of institutional power to be able to call those people who are perpetrators of said things to account in the way that we should be able to. Yeah, we don't have that at the moment, and so I understand whereby those things do take place. It's natural that the machinery of the state is going to be employed in order to get some kind of justice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the reality of the situation. But it seems that in the brother has gone after brothers, particularly who are trying to prevent that situation occurring in the first place.
Yeah.
So we're not waiting for a man to kill a man before we can so that we can say, well, boy, that's where he is, that's where he lives, that's where his mum is. You know what I'm saying? We're not waiting for a mother to be crying. We're trying to prevent a mother from crying. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like his commentary didn't take that fact
Into
into
account. Yeah.
right. Just what I'm saying, and so therefore is incomplete.
And to be fair, I did hear some form of response where, especially on the back of him, you're saying, where I think one of them said that, you know, everyone has a part to play as well. And like you said, not everyone, especially if you're coming from that kind of background, that's probably the last place you want to be dealing with, is that kind of institution, the police as well, that direct institution you're dealing with. And it boils back to am I echoing? Or is it just
A little bit.
Okay, I'm not hearing it, so maybe that's my fault. So I'm gonna mute while you're talking, sis, and then say your last comment for now, because stay on the panel. I'm gonna go on because there's like 3 other people on the panel, so I'm gonna come back to you, sis. Right? But yeah, go ahead, finish your point.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's gone now. I was just gonna say that it adds on to your point, and I think one of them said that everybody has a part to play in this. Like, it's a long string to get to the justice stage. So their part is probably, like you're saying, doing the part that they feel comfortable in doing and where they've got the most impact. And what we need to do, and it always goes back to, is just building our own institutions, so we've got the following, directing next stages in order to get to the final stages of justice. So I do get what you mean on that point, and I do agree. And I also wanted to say as well, I don't agree with him just calling out names and things like that as well. That's when it started to get a bit personal, and I don't know, do you know what I mean? That's the whole back and forward stuff. So yeah, I'll let the others talk on your panel.
To be fair to him though, I don't think he began the name calling thing. I think he taught names because Bobby Kasanga suggested that he was talking about Raspik, and so he was saying that I wasn't talking about Raspik. Although, like I said, like, near the end of his video, it
was everyone. It was everyone.
The lines need to get blurred. You know what I mean? Yeah. I say it, go. But give facts, Kushti. Yeah, stay where you are. I'm gonna go on to Set Imhotep. Blessings, Matrina brother.
Peace, God, peace, God. Peace, everybody under the sound of my voice.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I should really comment too intensely, let's say, or about snitching, let's say, in the community, because unlike you, I wasn't even necessarily road adjacent when I was growing up, so I don't necessarily have the same experience with the culture as other people might have. So I don't really want to touch on that too much. I want to beg you to elaborate on certain things regarding the debate. Now, I didn't see the debate myself. I didn't see the debate myself, so I can't really comment on their individual performances. But I I seem to have noticed a strain of thought within, let me say, a section of the conscious community, or well, the American part of the conscious community, that spirituality in any form, it seems, is either toxic or a net negative in the conscious
Yeah.
community, right?
Yeah.
Such that the idea that we should be utilizing spiritual traditions, so-called spiritual traditions, to advance our culture is like a little bit triggering for them, you dig? But so yeah, so I beg it elaborate on how societies tend to use their spiritual cultural traditions to integrate the historical, the scientific, and the philosophical innovations and retentions of their communities over time within their culture, as opposed to separating all of the disciplines, as it seems that the debate was suggesting we do.
Yeah, beautiful question. So to deal with, you didn't ask the specific question, but let me deal with what your initial statement in terms of the aggressive kind of attack on spirituality within the conscious community. In my humble estimation, where this is coming from is the fact that there is a movement in Western popular scholastic discourse and the academy that is heavily anti-religion in the favor of science, and this is predicated on the historical relationship between religion and science within the development of Western civilization. Because the church traditionally had authority, people that engaged in scientific exploration were often stigmatized, persecuted against, and in some cases just killed. Yeah. And so you have a neo-Darwinian movement, yeah, who has popularized itself on the basis of attacking creationists, particularly in the Christian context. And then you have also philosophers like Daniel Dennett, yeah, who is the author of a book called Consciousness Explained, which I have, but I'm yet to read. But you know, these are people that are very high up in Western academy and popular scholarship. Yeah, these are like scholars that, you know, people will call for television appearances and them kind of things there. Yeah. So Richard Dawkins is one of the main guys, yeah, of the neo-Darwinian school. And then Daniel Dennett is one of the main guys as far as a philosopher is concerned. All right. And they developed a significant profile of attacking religion. Okay. And so what is happening is that brothers and sisters in the online conscious community, they are coming in the conscious community, having read Dawkins and the man them Dawkins. There's another guy called Lawrence Krauss, yeah, who's a particle physicist, if I'm not mistaken, a physicist, but I think he's specifically a particle physicist. Yeah, and these are very anti-religion guys. And so what they're doing is they're bringing that reasoning into our community and they're superimposing the argumentation on African spirituality. Yeah, without taking consideration for whether the phenomena that they are assessing is in fact the same as the phenomena that Krauss and Dennett and Dawkins assessing in their attacks on religion. Yeah. For example, I think that's where it's coming from. It's a neo-Darwinian sensibility that has come into the so-called online conscious community that has been merged with a significant strain of anti-Africanness. Yeah, don't want to identify with an African agenda, African identity, and a Pan-African political ideal. Yeah, so all of these things are happening at the same time. Now, to get to your question, you want
to add something on top of that, just so it doesn't escape scrutiny in the discourse, right? I also think that their experience, the American conscious community's experience, is quite particular in that there have been a number of, let's say, pseudo-Egyptian, pseudo-Moorish, well, pseudo-religious so-called cults that have taken over and gained mass membership within the so-called conscious community, and which
100.
in later years have been found to have been spreading let's say, false information. I don't want to say misinformation. They may have thought it was correct at the time. And so, especially in the present day, where I don't know if you're familiar with the brother Polite, but he's recently been, I think, convicted of inappropriate behavior with a minor or something like that. And things like that keep happening with people who are professing spiritual, new spiritual beliefs, let's say, within the American conscious community. So I think that it really is quite triggering for them when people are attempting to bring spirituality, merge spirituality and culture, because a lot of them actually have like first-hand experience having gone in and out of some of these cults now. A lot of them are Egyptian cults in particular, you know, or Egyptian-based cults, I should say.
Can I add something?
One second, my brother. I'll come to you. I think that your estimate is correct in some degree, and I think Brother Sekou even made that point in a lead up to the debate itself. At the same time, I think that to the extent that we suffered abuses at the hands of scientific institutions, the government institutions, to the extent that we suffered abuse at the hands of the church, these institutions don't seem to have come with the same stigma. There are many brothers and sisters who are involved in African spiritual systems who are upright, individuals and communities who have integrity and so on and so forth. And so whilst I would agree with your assessment, I think that there's an imbalance in the reasoning, where that is concerned. But I'm gonna come back to the rest of the question. But Brother Kohani wanted to come true, so go ahead, Brother Kohani.
So I just want to say this. I think a lot of people who have an issue with merging African so-called spirituality, I like to call it naturalism, and try to mix it in with science and culture. I mean, sometimes there's an African American saying that says it's time to call a spade, and I believe that these people who have an issue with Black people trying to have us go back to so-called African spirituality, they just need to go ahead and say, I don't like being African, because here's the problem. Sigmund Freud, right? Sigmund Freud, what did he use for his psychological what did he use for his psychological focal points? He used Greek mythology, i.e. European mythology. So when I hear Black people say stuff like, no, we can't mix African culture and science together, how about we just stick with science? Y'all just don't want to be African. Just say what it is.
Yeah, I 100% agree with your assessment, my brother, and maybe the point that you just made actually leads us towards answering the second part of Seti Imhotep's question. Repeat the question for me, Imhotep, just a minute. I have it clear in my head.
Remember what I was saying? I was spitting off the dome. But I did kind of want to jump on something the brother was just saying, though, because something that Brother Sekou has mentioned in the past, that he believes that we should be using some of the philosophy and knowledge of Kemet to basically instigate an African Renaissance, a Pan-African Renaissance. And people always like poo-poo that idea, and I've never understood why, because it's like, you don't have to be. Italians are not from, well, okay, Italians is probably a bad example, but let's say Spaniards are not from Greece, but a lot of their current culture, the setup of their culture and the philosophy that underpins their culture is still based on Greek and Roman philosophy and law and civic engineering. So I've never understood why people have such a pushback against it, but I don't remember the question, sorry.
The issue is this. Coming back to what and related to what you just said to what Kohani says, if your cultural and geopolitical problems are solved by the identity of the state of which you are a citizen, then you are not going to see the utility in the reconstruction and redevelopment and functional usage of African spiritual systems. It's very simple. It's clear to me that those of us who are trying to solve African problems from an African center understand the viability of the thing because we understand the utility of culture, the necessity of culture, and we understand the role that African spiritual systems, Kimoyo, play in us being able to reconstruct a functional African identity and develop communities and nations and even families from that foundation. If your geopolitical problems are solved because you are a citizen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, the United States of America, France, or whatever, then you're not going to see the utility of those things because your cultural and ideological ideas are taken care of, not only in the conceptual sense, but also in the institutional sense. You know that America, that Britain, and that France is going to represent your interest in the world, culturally, politically, and economically. That's it. Yeah. And wittingly or unwittingly, brothers and sisters, like Brother Kohani was alluding to, just need to say it, agree with, wittingly or unwittingly. Oh, wow.
Yeah, your screen was freezing up a little bit.
You're back now.
What on there? Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here on
Okay,
screen.
where did it cut off?
No, you didn't. You never ever cut off. Your screen just froze, but we could still hear
Okay, so you could always hear me. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Yeah. So wittingly or unwittingly, I just simply pledging their allegiance to the Western geopolitical order as it stands. Yeah. Them lack vision, you know, them lack an independent intentionality. You know, they lack a political and cultural intention that is not tied to Western empire. Yeah, Bunya, where you gone? You was in the back here. I was coming to you next. Yeah,
that's a good question.
Yeah, go ahead, sis.
The group of people you're referring to, what do they class themselves as if they're not African spirituality?
Some of the atheists,
Okay.
some of them black atheists, yeah, and so on and so forth, right? And the issue is not science versus spirituality as far as the brothers and sisters who are advocating on behalf of spirituality is concerned. I have never, yeah, for example, I've never come across an African spiritualist who challenges evolution, for example. Yeah, like I've never come across it. I've never come across somebody who adheres to an African spiritual system who rejects the Big Bang, for example, theory based upon the fact that it goes against what Orunmila said and taught. I've never come across this. Yeah, I've not. But what's happening is people are taking arguments that come from a Christian-centric Western society and imposing them on an African reality where it doesn't particularly fit. Yeah, that is the issue. Yeah, Bunya, wait there. You know, I'll come back. That's where I go on. Your battery dead. So yeah, that's my assessment of those dynamics. I'm sure Sarnetta will release the debate at some point, you know, in the next few months, so people can watch it. But yeah, it was an interesting one. Go ahead, Brother Kohani.
No, man, you revealing too much secrets, man. He might be listening, be like, I'm not gonna release these debates no more for free.
No, he tends to after a while he tends to release them, innit? Like so everybody can watch them after a while. So I'm sure he will. But even just the after review debate conversation that took place on his channel was an interesting one to watch. Do you know what I'm saying? You know the beautiful point is that you made, Brother Kohani, is about the fact that Freud, yeah, he used terminologies from Greek religion to define his psychological concepts. And one of the major applications for African spirituality, as I see it, is in the realm of psychology, psychiatry, and mental health. Yeah, in my humble estimation, I've said this before, but the deeper level to that is brother Bobby was advocating the Western development of science in the sense of the fact that science was evolved out of natural philosophy, negating the extent to which because African spiritual systems are fundamentally nature-based, natural philosophy is an inherent aspect of African spiritual systems, yeah, but also seemingly not aware of the fact that the natural philosophy of Western society also has a connection to its Greco-Roman religious development also, yeah. It's impossible to differentiate, not to differentiate, sorry, but to separate the two in terms of the development, the actual evolution, the real historical evolution of this society and its ties to Greco-Roman civilization. And that's why I say the people that are fundamentally Eurocentric and trying to shroud their Eurocentric orientation in a veneer, in the thinnest veil of blackness possible. Yeah, I'll say, go ahead, my brother, go ahead.
Even another thing that this is kind of kept hidden, but this actually happens. Like medical students every year be going to like the Amazon, to the African forest areas to meet with the shaman, and they'll ask like the shaman like what plant, they'll be asking like what plants and stuff do y'all be using for this particular sickness, and they'll take that plant and they'll make synthetic versions of it. And keep in mind, I'm not advocating that naturopathic medicine is the answer to Western medicine, but I think to a certain degree, those Africans who haven't been, I'm pretty sure they're doing something right. If Harvard medical students be going over there every year trying to talk to the shaman about, yeah, y'all got a malaria plant? Yeah, we use this. You know what I'm saying? So
I actually made that exact point in the after debate review, yeah, about the fact that the connection between the academic study of herbs and herbology, and the extent to which they co-opt the wisdom traditions of indigenous peoples around the planet, yeah, particularly from Native America and Africa, Asia, yeah, China, in particular, right? It's a fact, but yet one of the major examples that always comes up around these people when it comes to Africans is this: they tend to speak derogatively about herbal medicine and herbal medicine in connection with African priests, yeah, so called. And yeah, it's a weird dynamic that exposes the extent to which Eurocentricity is a particularly dominant factor within, I don't want to say dominant, but pervasive within the conscious community that says it is about freeing itself from the conceptual incarceration of white domination.
Now, I would say this though. I do think a lot of people, especially with what we've seen, a lot of people do have a right to be very, apprehensive about the Dr. Sabis of the world and these herbalists, because, these herbalists are not, they don't, when you ask them for a particular herb, they're not medical professionals. They're not asking for allergy tests because that particular herb they might give somebody like this helps with erectile dysfunction. That could kill somebody if they're allergic to that herb. So like I get the apprehensiveness with naturopathy, but it's just we have to, if we see these herbalists out here, we gotta relieve them of their herbs and tables. You know what I'm saying? Because they're getting people hurt out here.
I get it to some degree. What I don't understand is when apprehension to those herbalists comes with a complete faith in big Western pharmaceutical industry. Yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah, there is no Dr. Sabi and nobody who has committed more crimes, yeah, than big pharmaceutical agencies and their profit margins, yeah, and done more harm, yeah, to people, yeah. There are drugs on the market, yeah. You live in America, right?
And
Yeah.
profited off of it as well,
Profit off
knowingly.
of it. Yeah, knowingly there are drugs. So when I couldn't believe, yeah, the first time you go to America, 1995, yeah, me turned 10 years old in America, New Jersey, we did there, and in England we don't because the healthcare system is different. You there's a restriction in terms of what kinds of drugs get advertised, yeah, on TV. All right, so no advert not exists where end could cause heart attack, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and all these things. No go so round here. So I was shocked when we go to America and see all them advert there where the advert end, yeah, could cause hypertension, heart attack, blister, you know what I'm saying, diarrhea, you know what I mean? and all of these things.
Possible death.
Yeah, possibly, yeah, all them something there, you know what I mean? Impotence, you know what I mean? Everything, could cause everything. And the side effect worse than the illness where I take the medicine for. Yeah, and all of these things. But when you look into big pharmaceutical agencies, like, look at even the advocacy for the COVID vaccine, yeah, and the extent to which the vaccine was patented, yeah, so that others couldn't replicate it because the people that patented it were earning money off of it. So within the realms of this particular healthcare system as it stands globally at the moment, profit margins outweigh general health, yeah. And this is a reality that we just accept, right? And not only do we accept it, that many of us, even in the conscious community, are beginning to advocate on behalf of. Whilst we talk about horror stories of natural herbalists within the community, I just think it's fundamentally flawed. There's an imbalance in the reasoning, Yasa. And that's not to say that there are not some crooks and so on and so forth who have been in the community. Well, I'm not denying that. I'm simply saying that big pharma is a criminal institution, yeah, and to advocate on behalf of them whilst rejecting her, whilst ridiculing natural herbalists is a joke. The other side to that, my brother, if I may, is that oftentimes because of the fact that like in Africa and the Caribbean, healthcare is often not free at the point of delivery. Yeah. And so it's difficult for people that are living in poverty to get access to certain medicines. Yeah. And because of the profit margins that are involved in these things, oftentimes the pharmaceutical agencies have a vested interest in delegitimizing herbal medicine, because if people it's cheaper for people to access to. They don't have access to sense when oftentimes poorer communities, that's all they that's 90% of what they really have. You see what I'm saying? And so if you begin to give legitimacy and treat herbal medicine scientifically within communities, not go teach them knowledge and put it into a big university and give it a PhD and a degree and so on and so forth. But if we begin to do that, legitimize it on our community and grassroots level, the idea is that it will begin to delegitimize, the pharmaceutical industry as it stands at the moment. And so we have to be mindful of all of these dynamics, is the point I'm making. Yeah, man. Family.
That was a really strong point.
Go ahead, sis. Go on.
I was just saying that was a really strong point, bro, because I didn't see the debate, but as you was just talking about, those kind of mindsets and just thinking about the demonization of it all as well, because that's where it kind of, I feel like a lot of it stems from. And then when you look at the history of where it stems from the West, and then you understand the incentive for them to demonize it in regards to they will have more profit, keep us sick for longer, we keep churning it in while letting you know that what you've got is a load of rubbish. It's just,
Right.
Sometimes it's good to just bring the play
It's a
out.
mad thing, fam.
Yeah, exactly.
I,
You gotta
I,
get
I, I know two sisters recently who have done degrees in herbal medicine. One of whom is explicitly connecting what she learned academically to the traditional herbal systems of her people. She's Ga, yeah,
amazing.
right. Just I'm saying. Now I'm saying that if brothers and sisters um were holistic in their understanding, they would promote things like that. Yeah, that it would be legitimate to say, listen, our ancestors laid down certain herbal systems for our general health. We need to evolve that with new knowledge that we've developed. Yeah, that human beings have developed, and so you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth. Right? It would be legitimate, but I don't see that. I don't hear people promoting those things. Yeah, in these debates
Because
and in these environments. Sorry, go on.
because so linear, bro. These kind of things are always so linear. They don't open up space for thought. You know, like both can be a positive thing at the same time. People think if you're thinking about herbs, you're thinking about just how it was at that point. There's no progression. There's no, new growth or new findings. It's like it's like I feel that you reject that. So hearing a sister who's into both the Western sciences or quote unquote using the modern kind of technology, right? Just to even be able to have that facility and then being able to look at her own ancestral medicine and then seeing the link. And also I wouldn't even be surprised if she saw a lot of origins from the West that stemmed from from her origin, which we know is going to happen.
That's
I
right.
think things like that is brilliant because it also shows that just because you're into natural health, you're not just stuck at just bush tea and that's it. If there's more things we can elevate on, we're all about that as well. We're supposed to be elevated on.
Yeah, I was drinking some bush tea, some everything.
Exactly. They think that's all we want to do. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to do.
No. I was on a live one time, or was I just watching? I don't think I was on the live where the brethren. No, I was on the live actually because he came. It was a live in response to a presentation that I did on Pan Africanism, and a brother Kale came on. Yeah. The live, and brother Bobby said to the brethren, "Yeah, I bet you think you can eat kale to cure AIDS or some stupidness like that. Like, why would you? Like,
What?
who's ever like? But this is the kind of caricature. Yeah, you could just eat some kale and cure cancer. You know, you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know, or you know what I'm saying? So,
you know what it
yeah.
reminds me of is when the Native Americans complain that when they see white people, they always say, "Can you speak to animals?" It's just like people have this caricature in their heads. Do you know what I mean? If you're a certain way, this is what you do. You believe it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It will cure, anything.
Yeah, you know.
At its best, really.
Madness. Listen, family, I'm keeping the lines open for another 10 minutes here. We're approaching the hour of 10 p.m. UK time. Mr. Bunya was on there for a while, and him duck out. So I don't know what going, but I hope the region is well. But yeah, feel free to come back, bro, if you're still listening. And don't give me no excuse about the conversation. Move on. It's open house, so you can bring it back to whatever you want to bring it back to. Everything good. So yeah, family. So if anybody does want to come through, you've got 10 minutes in which to do so. Another thing I could have spoken on today, I just finished watch Top Boy, yeah, with my woman. You know what I'm saying? And it was a very interesting view. I know people are not particularly happy with the final season of Top Boy. Top Boy, well, most people should know what Top Boy is by now, innit? So we're not going to explain, but yeah, I see why people were not particularly impressed with the final season. But there's one thing. Did you watch the last season that just came out?
I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was very unrealistic, especially what happened to old dude. I'm not spoiling them, but especially what happened to old dude. That was very unrealistic.
Okay. I hear you. Yeah. Well, yeah, I hear you, bro. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I noticed though is that the fifth and final season comes, yeah, and the only that all of the all of the relationships, the actual relationships, intimate relationships are just dead. Like there's no black male female relationship. The only relationship, that seems to have survived the ending of Top Boy is a lesbian one, right? I just find that interesting. You know what I mean? I just find that interesting. Like all
There
of the
was no,
black
because
man,
I didn't watch it. I've not watched any of it. So there was no relationships between a black man and a black woman throughout the whole seasons.
there were relationships. They just all ended by the time the thing finished. Yeah, right. They some happen and mash up all of the relationship. Them, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, So to be fair, right. There wasn't a lot of there wasn't a lot of relationships throughout the show. Yeah, like I will say that. I go back, but yeah, you didn't see a whole heap relationship, in the show, but yeah, definitely this final season, it's like, but when the thing done, like the only relationship you can say, well, there's gonna be a future to this relationship was a lesbian one, and I just find that very interesting in a show full of black people. That's the only thing that's it, and I feel like that dynamic is very much ubiquitous at the moment. There's like, functional black male female relationships are few far between in popular media at the moment. It's an interesting one, you know what I'm saying? I know look aside comment, fun Top Boy, because I know so all of the people them, well, mind you, I'm late because enough people watched that 2 weeks ago, so so yeah, I'm late.
Can I tell you what I think was funny in Top Boy?
Go on.
Was when old girl, she got stole by the shade. He was like, give me the food, but she was like, what are you talking about?
She never knew what I go on in it. She never knew what I go on in it. She never knew because I get a confusion at that moment in time in it. But yeah, it was bad. It's a bit bad. I think they rushed the season. That. Yeah, I think they rushed the season, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I think I don't think a certain amount of thought went into it. I was miffed by the riot scene.
Yeah, that was just tacked on in there to me, man. I'm like,
I didn't quite fully understand. I got it as a plot device because they needed that level of confusion for the shades and Sunny to operate in at the end of this. I got that, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it seemed a bit contrived to me. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it go. That's a little side comment, little side conversation about some popular media while go on. And another subject I could have talked about today, and I may go into this. Well, let's see next week because I may have a special guest next week. Yeah, so stay tuned. I may have a very big special guest week. Yeah, and we'll see where I go on where that is concerned. By the way, before I wrap up, let me announce the fact that next month, as well as Sankofa, the future of Black history, we are going to be having a couple panels, dealing with the 40th anniversary of the Grenada Revolution. Okay, there'll be two shows, one on the 10th and the other on the 17th of October. And so I'm just trying to bring up the channel right now, so I'm going to show you so the video them exists, already, so you can set your reminders from now. The first is really going to be just me presenting some information using written and video footage from the revolution itself, from the things that they did, what they achieved, what challenges they faced, and so on and so forth. And the second is going to be panel, where I'm going to get some brothers and sisters from around the world, but it's going to be a very good panel. I encourage brothers and sisters to come through. It's going to be an excellent panel. For these videos right here, the show is called Mojuba, which in Yoruba is we pay homage. Maurice Bishop and the Grenada Revolution. The 19th of October is the 40th anniversary of the assassination of Maurice Bishop, who was... Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen properly. Hold on there. All our family. Let me get this thing proper. This computer's moving slow at the moment. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, as I was saying, yeah, 19th of October is the anniversary of the assassination of Maurice Bishop, and who was the Prime Minister of Grenada during the revolution. 6 days later, the American government, American military invaded the island, the small island of Grenada, and basically, yeah, arrested much of the leadership of the revolution, who were implicated in the assassination of Maurice Bishop. And so we are going to be reviewing the revolution itself and what they did, but also looking at its implosion. So the revolution imploded before the American invasion. And although, can you still hear me? So computer's frozen again.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a bit of buzzing in the background while you're talking, but we can hear you and it's clearer
okay,
now.
good. All right. Yeah. So the Americans were planning an invasion from basically the time that the revolution happened, which was 1979. Yeah. And the Jimmy Carter administration began hostilities with Grenada, followed by and escalated by the presidency of Ronald Reagan. Okay. And so the American military invaded 6 days after the assassination of Maurice Bishop. So we're going to be looking at that revolution and its influence and impact on the Caribbean and the African world in general. It's going to be a panel on the 17th of October. And then after that, we're going to be going back to look at what's happening in West Africa. Yeah, with the coups and stroke possible revolutions that are taking place in West Africa at the moment. So Empress Kush, stay tuned, because I'm going to invite you to something at some point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't know, Empress got a very good presentation, breaking down some of the basic information that you need to know about Wagwan. Yeah. So, and then the following week, I'm going to have a panel of brothers and sisters again from around the world who are going to be just giving analysis, yeah, on what's taking place and its impact on West Africa in general. All right. Yeah, family. All right. So I was waiting to see if Bunya would return. He hath not. Yeah. So I'ma close the show. Yassa, and get a last word from everybody. So beginning with Kohani, get a last word, King. And thank you for coming through. I appreciate it.
Right on, right on. Tia Mari, thank you for having me on. As always, yeah, man. I always have a blast when I'm on here, man. You one of the few cats on YouTube with some sense out here. I swear.
Thank you, my brother. Much appreciated. And you welcome. Anytime you want to come through, you're very, very welcome to come through. I appreciate your presence. And you always make good contributions. So much appreciated. Much appreciated. Imhotep.
Peace, Pan-African power to everybody in the audience listening live and listening after the fact. I just like the brother, giving thanks for the platform and the ability to express my opinion to your audience, and to get the pushback if I need any pushback, you know. So yeah, that's just me signing out for today.
Love King, and no doubt we'll come back to these issues of the spirituality and science thing. I will say this one last thing, yeah. One of the things that made me very interested in science, particularly astrophysics, is actually being raised an African spiritualist, because of the fact that I was taught from young that our spirituality is nature-based. It's based upon trying to be in harmony with nature. Yeah, it's impossible to have that kind of a spiritual inclination and reject and negate what the universe is telling you about itself. Yeah, it's not. It's a contradiction. in terms. And so yeah, there's more to be said on that, but I think that coming back to your point in terms of people's understanding of things, that understanding needs to be popularized, and people need to be more intellectually honest about what they don't know or what they refuse to take into consideration. So once
Well,
again, King, much
actually,
appreciated.
sorry, I should say, I'm in the Pseudokillers Discord, and I actually
Okay.
spoke to them and recommended your your playlist directly to everybody who was listening in the chat at the time, but also directly to the elder Ankh. And
Yes.
he outright was just like, yeah, I ain't listening to that foolishness, blah blah blah, blah whatever. And I'm just like, bro, you kind of exposing your lack of intellectual integrity, boy. At least to me, that's how I perceive it, boy. But also
100%.
the final idea that societies that do not have a system that mirrors what the Western world calls science must by necessity have been doing science for their culture to have survived to the present, for them to be able to
Mhm.
make tools, for them to be able to cook. All of these, like cooking is chemistry, you dig? So they
100.
must, by necessity, have been using observation and testing and that sort of thing, repetition, to be able to survive into the present. So I really think that they have a fundamental misunderstanding of how these cultures operate and how they disseminate information.
Exactly. You are correct. You are correct, my brother. There's a poet by the name of Heru Oforiata, and he has a line where he repeats where he says, I hope you believe me like you believe in the universalism of whiteness." So yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know what I mean? That's a good one. But yeah, I'm not surprised that he rejected the presentation, and or even viewing it. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a surprise, well, we give thanks same way. Give thanks once again, Imhotep. You're always welcome. Kushti.
Yes, give follow on what the brothers say. Give thanks for another great show, bro, and letting me join the panel. So I just thought it was a really good point listening to what you and brother Set was just talking about there, and it's so true when you were saying that if the first fundamental thing is that we're taught is to look to nature, then why wouldn't we be fascinating with the science of nature? It's actually the next step. So this is what I'm saying about the ignorance, and it's just it doesn't make sense. But Brother Seti had a lovely point as well when you were saying that they were doing sciences before people even knew to label it science, or how would they have survived? So yeah, it was just a great point to finish up on, and yeah, just another great show. And when you've got time, don't forget to do my sister Queen's logo, please, as well. Thank you.
Lord of mercy, I'm getting hurt up live on thinking now. Jeez. You see when the sisters them stick together, the sisters them stick together, the way there. Lord of mercy. All right. Okay.
Hello.
Give taxes. No, but yeah, you're right though. You're right. I do deserve that. I do deserve that. So I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? All right, family. Love. Always, sis. Always. Yeah, family. Yeah, it's been a beautiful show. There's more I could have said on both of the topics that I've raised today, and I'm sure more will be said on the subject matters in time to come. And so yeah, we just give thanks. Yeah, we just give thanks for powerful conversations, and we're gonna do more. There may be a special guest next week. If not, there's an issue that has recently taken place in the realms of reparations that I may raise. And link it to some politics where I go on in the UK, yeah, next week. So do stay tuned for that. Once again, family, do check out gotkushTV.com. gotkushtv.com for the information concerning Sankofa, the future of Black history. Throughout the month of October, which is Black History Month in the UK, yeah, and we have a special series of events, one a week throughout the month, and we look forward to seeing you all coming through. You can go to gotkushtv.com for all information as well as registration. I won't break down all of the subjects because they're, you can go to the website and check that out. But suffice to say, it is going to be a powerful one. And so I don't mind telling you all that who are viewing at the moment that we are also through the event raising money for Gotkush TV and our forward development in terms of being able to produce higher quality shows. And so I would appreciate if brothers and sisters share the information. You can get all 4 events in the series for the price of 3. Yeah, so do come true to all 4 of them, and you just have to pay the £30, yeah, where that is concerned. You know what I mean? So much appreciated to you all, and for those who are sharing it already, we appreciate you. And thank you all once again for that. Do you want to send a special shout out to the one and only Tony Warner of Black History Walks, because Black History Walks is one of our sponsors for the event. And so you can check out more on Black History Walks at blackhistorywalks.co.uk. And on the 21st, as we advertised at the beginning of the show, on the 21st of September, this coming Thursday, they have an event looking at the Little Mermaid and the Black history and culture that was co-opted in the construction of the fairy tale The Little Mermaid. But not just The Little Mermaid, they're going to be looking at how Hollywood does this anyway, what they call strip mining indigenous African and other cultures and creating stories out of it, yeah, that reap them billions, yeah, in the global market. The market has spoken. The market has spoken. The market has spoken. So do come true, yeah, throughout Black History Month. And as I said, we're going to also be detailing the history of the Grenada Revolution and its political impact as well. Yeah, so big things are going on for Gotkush TV throughout October, and we look forward to you joining us for all of the above. Tendai Mwali, we thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe, Kudzai, Mudzimu, Mokoro. Give praises unto our great ancestors, Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodie, African power and African liberation for all African people. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Gotkush TV presents Sankofa, The Future of Black History, a unique Black History Month online series exploring all dimensions of time as we chronicle the Black past, command the Black present, and empower the Black future. Workshops include The Future is Black, Why is Black History Under Attack? With Shakara, We Create Value, The Ingenuity of Enslaved Africans, with Robin Walker, Ancestral Calling, Agriculture, and the Opobo Library Initiative with Aya Eneli, Quantum Field Theory as African Heritage with Asar Imhotep. For full information including dates and registration, visit gotkushtv.com. We have made history. We are making history. There is history still to be made. Sankofa, The Future of Black History, a Black History Month series not to be missed. Gotkush TV presents Sankofa, The Future of Black History, a unique Black History Month online series exploring all dimensions of time as we chronicle the Black past, command the Black present, and empower the Black future. Workshops include The Future is Black, Why is Black History Under Attack? With Shakara, We Create Value, The Ingenuity of Enslaved Africans, with Robin Walker, Ancestral Calling, Agriculture, and the Opobo Library Initiative with Aya Eneli, Quantum Field Theory as African Heritage with Asar Imhotep. For full information including dates and registration, visit gotkushtv.com. We have made history. We are making history. There is history still to be made. Sankofa, The Future of Black History, a Black History Month series not to be missed.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine bele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine bele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine bele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine bele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre,